to Eternal. I'm Sam Craven. Located to my north is Matthew Pavlic. Say hi, Matt.
Way far north, actually, so hello.
And to my way far east is Julian Knab.
Hey, hello.
We're going to start off with the rest of the new cards from the new Conslot set.
Conslot? Really?
Yeah, Conslot, because it's got the Onslaught fetch lands, it's got Morph.
That's clever. I approve.
I must admit, I did not come up with that on my own.
Fuck.
I think I stole that from Brainstorm Brewery. Our first card is Stubborn Denial. It's a blue instant, force spike a non-creature, but it has Ferocious. If you control a creature with power 4 greater, it's just a hard counter.
So basically, if you control a Tarmogoyf, it's a 1-mana hard counter.
Or if you control and equip a Batterskull, or probably a Knight of the Reliquary, or a Tombstalker.
I like this.
Or if you control a True Name Nemesis with a piece of equipment on it. So yeah, definitely within the realm of playability. Probably out of 4 of, maybe a 1 or a 2 of. Definitely something you'll see some people trying to play. I'm thinking maybe in like a Canadian Threshold deck as a 2 of, maybe taking the spot of Spell Pierce. Because like, if you have a Goyf out, it's a hard counter. If you don't have a Goyf out, you're taxing their mana base, so force spiking them still might just get there.
I actually want to talk about this with regards to Hooting Mandrills. Because it sounds... So, I think Hooting Mandrills is a card that was perhaps spoiled at the time we were talking about last time, and we didn't really look at it. And I think it's something to really kind of consider, because...
Tell us what it does, please.
So it is a 7 mana, 6 mana, it's pretty awful. It is a 6 mana or 7 mana Delve creature, so it's, I think it's 5 in green Delve, and it is a 4/4 trample. So, my thoughts on this card, and I was talking about this with a few other people, including Benjamin Wheeler, who we had on a couple episodes ago, and he postulated that this could fit into some sort of Zoo Shell, or perhaps into Rug Delver replacing Nimble Mongoose.
Well, I think one of the things on these Delve cards is that, generally speaking, a mechanic like Delve is considered a drawback. With the format the way it is, Delve can really be something that helps you, so some of these cards that might not be good enough might be quite good when you can say, get rid of your entire graveyard, shrinking their Goyf, and making their Deathrite Shaman a 1/2.
Yeah.
I think there's so much play in these Delve cards, like you said, like screwing over their Tarmogoyf, or their Deathrite Shaman, or you can still play pretty strategically if you're playing your own copies of those cards, so I think it has a lot of play.
And it's worth noting that they cannot respond to you delving with Deathrite Shaman, because Delve is part of the cost, and it all gets paid at once. They don't get to, like, grab something out of the yard and just get you.
Which, because when in doubt, you should always eat your opponent's fetch lands and stuff with Deathrite Shaman, just to make sure. It's like a tactic that you do up against Bagdelver, because they randomly have the Tombstalker, and that's something you should be even more aware of from now on. I think the cards are interesting, like the 4/4 ape or monkey, or that Matt mentioned.
It's a mandrill.
It's a mandrill. Isn't that a monkey anyways?
I'm not sure if it's a New World or Old World monkey. I'm going to look this up. It's an Old World monkey. I was thinking it was an Old World monkey. Okay.
On the subject of Delve, Treasure Cruise. 7 and blue, Delve. Alright, obviously way too high casting cost for Legacy.
It can't be counterbalanced.
And it draws 3.
So this is, I believe, another version of making a strictly worse Ancestral Recall?
Well, obviously, yeah. My first thought on this, before I realized it was 7 and a blue, I thought it was like 3 or 4 and a blue. At like 4 and a blue, a Time Spiral deck can get rid of all the fetch lands that they don't want to draw back. But at 7 and a blue, you probably have to get rid of too much good stuff. Another place this has got potential is in a Dredge deck, where you can get all the crappy cards out of your graveyard and trigger 3 more Dredges.
That I could see. Julian, what do you think?
I think all of the Delve stuff that has been spoiled thus far is just not quite cutting it. Even like the draw 3 sorcery, that's a card that you would want in the very first turns. Like you want all of the cantrips and Dredge, for example, like Breakthrough and Careful Study and Faithless Looting. And later on, you're not going to draw it anymore, because you're just going to be dredging anyways. So, it's... If you somehow were to I don't know, change around the slots and end up in a situation where you actually want to include more of these draw spells, yeah, then I can see it. But right now I think it's worse than the stuff that already exists. So, I don't see it being played in Dredge. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's some people maybe randomly sideboarded it in control decks for the control mirror, but even there I think there might be better options, especially since it's sorcery.
So what happens if this card was made as an instant? Does it become playable at 7U?
7 is quite a lot.
Well, and Julian brought up something that's kind of a theme for this set for me. There's a lot of stuff that's just, right on the borderline. Like, if this costs, like, CMC 1/2 less, it becomes a lot more playable.
I totally agree with that.
And on that, so our next card is Merderous Cut. It's 4 and a black, delve, instant, destroy target creature. No restrictions, no non-black, no non-artifact, or anything like that. So, obviously, destroy target creature is quite strong.
It's an instant.
Yeah, at instant speed. 4 is not that much to delve when you've got, brainstorms, ponders, fetch lands filling up your graveyard. Any thoughts on this?
Julian, you first.
It reminds me of Ghastly Demise, in a way, I guess. I think Ghastly Demise had non-black, and this one's easily better, but I'm not exactly seeing in which kind of deck I want to be playing it. I could see it being played because 4 is okay, and I would love to counter a Deathrat Shaman activation just by going, B, counter your Deathrat Shaman activation, kill one of your dudes. It's just that right now I'm not seeing a deck that actually wants to play the card, but I think it's, of all the delve cards that have been spoiled, this is at closest to being played in Legacy.
I agree. I think this card might see play. I'm not sure. If you're splashing white, you're going to want Super Splashers over this card all the time. If you're splashing green, Abrupt Decay is still probably going to take care of most of the creatures you want to kill anyway. So I'm just wondering what deck wants a delve, destroy target creature spell. And I'm like, does Combo want this? No, probably not. They can just Chain of Vapor.
You can't even play it under God of Teak.
Yeah, I don't know, it feels a little bit too narrow. I think the card isn't bad, I agree. 4 to delve is not bad at all. Maybe as removal 5 and 6? Maybe in a Reanimator deck that doesn't care about getting rid of fetch lands or something, you just need to get rid of a Scavenging Ooze, or I don't know.
Yeah, but all the stuff you want to remove, you will probably just needle.
Exactly. Or have Abrupt Decay, because you could just play Abrupt Decay in that deck anyway.
Or a Submatch. I always loved Submatch and Reanimator.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many other answers that's totally fine. I think if we were seeing a lot more creatures being played that were 4 CMC and above, maybe if the format had shifted from Abrupt Decay to, creatures that cost 4, then I would say hey, this card is actually going to see some play. But everybody just said, fuck it, we're just going to play more cards that cost 3 or less. Or print True Nemesis, then it doesn't matter.
Alright, and then just another one I wanted to point out, just on the edge of playability. Utter End. Cool name. 2 white, black. Instant. Vindicate non-land.
This card, 100% would be playable. I would play this card at 1 white, black. I would play this card at either black, black, white, or white, white, black. I think it's more playable at black, black, white, though. I would play this card if it said Vindicate, no condition, black, black, white, lose 3 life. That's what I would like. They could put...
So you're agreeing we're right on the borderline of playability with this?
Right on the border. We're right there.
Another one, this could still see play if someone wanted to get cute with Dredge or something. Empty the Pits. XX, black, 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 black. That's XX and quad black. Put X 2/2 zombies into play, tapped, at instant speed.
I like this card because, like you said, in EDH, this card's going to be pretty darn good. The only problem is obviously XX black, 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 black is pretty terrible in Legacy.
And I think even if this was 1X in quad black or 2X in tri black, maybe. Obviously, both of those costs are way more aggressive than they'd print something like this at. It's a neat card. I don't think it'll see any play.
Julian?
Don't ask me about that card. It's awful.
Yeah. I think it's really flavorful. Don't get me wrong. The art on this card is amazing. I really like it. But
I haven't seen that one yet. Is it even better than Zombie Apocalypse?
I haven't seen that one in a while. Let me check.
A lot of these, put a shitload of zombies into play cards are just awesomely flavorful, but just not good enough. There's a card from, I think, Innistrad Block that's Bring on the Piles of the Damned or something ridiculous like that.
Zombie Apocalypse is also pretty good. I'm looking at it right now. Also pretty good. One card that I actually wanted to say was on the cusp of playability as well is Siege Rhino. So 1, junk, so black, white, green. 4/5, trample. When Siege Rhino enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. So why is this on the cusp of playability? Because, again, most listeners are probably going to play blue and not care about this card at all.
Well, again, I think if this was like half a converted mana cost less, I'd totally play it.
I agree, because it's a 4/5, so hooray. It doesn't die to... It's about the size of a Tarmogoyf, the average Tarmogoyf. It has trample, so it's going to hit for 3 over their True Name Nemesis. And it comes in and drains them for 3 and you gain 3. The only problem is if this card costs 3, it would be Abrupt Decay, which I'd still be okay with. But at 4, I think it's just a little bit too much. I mean, if you're on the draw, you know, they get 4 mana, they play Jace, and then this is your, like, I'm going to play this. It's just not good enough.
It
It's
actually
so
kills
close.
Chase, right? Or does it drain or does it deal damage?
I wish it dealt damage, but it drains.
Oh, okay.
See, that's why I also think that the instant speed Vindicate that they printed, or semi Vindicate that they printed, needs to be not 4. Because I feel like if you want to combat Jace at instant speed, you need to be on the draw and be able to go. They go Jace Brainstorm, and you can go Vindicate it in response before they draw those cards. I think that's an important consideration when printing something that's in that realm, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, but even then you're down a card against the Chase, I guess.
Oh, for sure. But at least to have a chance against that Jace, you need to have them not draw the cards first, right? So the Vintage Super League, I hadn't really heard too much about this, but Sam, you were talking to me about it. Do you want to kind of explain what's going on?
Yeah, so the Vintage Super League, for those who don't know, is I don't know if event is the right term, being put on by Randy Buehler. What they're doing is they've got 10 big names from Vintage playing round robin, and then they'll cut to top 8, play top 8. I'm not sure what the prize is for top 8, but they do 5 matches every Tuesday. And one of the things they know they're going to do, they're going to drop whoever's the 10th place and possibly 9th place will get dropped and replaced with someone new, and they'll do another season. So the people in it right now are LSV, Rich Shea, Steve Menidian, Eric Froelich, I'm not sure about the pronunciation on that, Tom Martell, Randy Buehler, Bob Marr, David Williams, Josh Utter-Layton, and Chris Pakula. So definitely people that you want to see playing Vintage.
Except Sam Craven. I want to see Sam Craven playing Vintage.
But then one of the things they've added to make it an interesting metagame thing is, everyone can scout each other in something like this. So the deck lists are just open after week 1. Every 3 weeks, you may completely change decks. If you want, you are not required to.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think it brings a really cool metagaming kind of thing, because, all right, so-and-so brought shops, I need to bring more Artifact Hate. Well, that guy's going to go, well, they're going to bring an Artifact Hate for shops, I switch to something else. And then, the other person's go, well, they might switch off a shop, so maybe don't bring that. And the other person, goes back and forth. So I think it'll be really interesting this coming Tuesday. Hopefully we get released by then, but maybe the Tuesday that just happened will be week 4, which will be the first week with the new lists. Just to go through it real quick, the current lists are LSV is on a Pyromancer Gush deck. The interesting things about it are he's playing Empty the Warrens and Repeal as, Repeal as removal. Empty the Warrens is kind of a good finisher. You gush 3 or 4 times and preordain and just throw an Empty out there just 'cause. Rich Shea is playing Night's Whisper Slaver. I don't know if y'all know what Night's Whisper does.
I do.
It's the 2 mana, draw 2, lose 2?
It's 1 and a black, draw 2, lose 2. So it's and it's you draw, not target player. So it's Sign in Blood that cannot be misdirected and does not cost black. Stephen Menidian is playing Labman Doomsday, and
Of course it is.
Surprising.
It's really funny to watch because the commentators, when you play a deck like Doomsday, especially online where you don't get slow play warnings, you just run out of time and lose. He had in week 1, he brainstorms for 10 minutes. And they're like, is he disconnected? What happened? And then he untaps, casts Doomsday, and they're like, oh, that's fine. Resolves the Doomsday in 2 minutes and wins the game. And it's really funny because the commentators, at a certain point, don't know what to say. It's kind
They just stop talking.
Well, it's hard to fill 10 minutes of space, when you're not super practiced at a deck like Doomsday. But what's been really enjoyable, at least for me, is Menidian has been doing the next day. He will play. You can watch old matches on Magic Online and click through them progressively, each priority pass and stuff. He will play through it and explain his choices. He'll talk to the chat and be like, what do you think about these choices? Here's where I was going and stuff like that, which has been really, really interesting. It's kind of if you want to learn to play Doomsday, like Legacy or Vintage, I would highly recommend watching it because he knows what he's doing.
Can you mention the name of the channel? Because I completely missed that, and I think lots of people are actually interested in that.
The Vintage Super League is streaming now on the official Magic Twitch stream, so just twitch.tv/magic.
Oh, okay.
It's Tuesdays at, I think, 7 p.m. Pacific. If you go to the official Twitch Magic stream, they've got the info at the bottom there.
Cool.
Let's see. Eric Froelich is on Merfolk, as is David Williams and Randy Bueller. I think I might have gotten one of these wrong. I think there's only 2 Merfolk. I don't know. Tom Martell is playing Regoth Gush. The interesting stuff he's got 2 Mindbreak Trap, which has just completely owned a couple people. And he's got 3 Mystic Remora. Bob Marr is playing Oath with Vault Key. Josh Utterlayton is playing Storm. The particularly interesting thing about his list, he's got 4 Mishra's Bauble.
Interesting.
Which is another one of those, that I'm sure a lot of people don't know what it does. It's a 0-mana artifact, so it's a Storm builder. Tap, sacrifice it, look at the top card of target player's library, draw a card at the beginning of the next upkeep.
Slow trip.
Yeah, so it's a slow trip, but it's also a Storm builder. And then Chris Pakula is playing Terra Nova Shops.
Now, what's the difference between Terra Nova and regular shops?
You know, that is an excellent question, and it's the kind of question where I would much rather just, open
Talk
the...
to Sean?
Well, talk to Sean would be one option. Hold on just one second. I'm just going to pull up the deck list. All right, so here's Pakula's deck list. 4 Workshop, 4 Tomb, 4 Factory, 4 Mutavault, 4 Wasteland, 1 Caracas, 1 Tolarian Academy, 1 Strip Mine, your Solo Moxen, 3 Chalice, 3 Null Rod, 4 Sphere, 4 Thorn, 1 Sculpting Sphere, 4 Phyrexian Revoker, 4 Lodestone Golem, 4 Phyrexian Metamorph, 1 Darksteel Juggernaut, and 3 Dismember. So it's a creature-heavy deck. It's a creature-heavy deck. And, I mean, you can imagine what happens when you go Lodestone Golem, next turn Metamorph, or something like that. And they just, I'm on a 2-turn clock without being able to cast anything. His sideboard has 3 Tabernacles in it, which to me tells me he was ready for Young Pyromancer.
Oh, baby. Now I feel bad about selling my extra Tabernacles.
I feel bad about that, too. You should have sold it to me.
Yeah, I had 7, and then I was like, I don't need 7.
But yeah, this has been really enjoyable. They also restream it. Usually, as soon as it finishes, they just show the stream again. The whole thing is archived. It's also on YouTube, so you can go check out the old episodes. It's been a ton of fun to watch. Really interesting. Good to see some attention being brought to Vintage.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I guess y'all will have to start watching it so that you can know what I'm talking about.
Well, actually, I mean, we're gonna start our Vintage League here. I think in the next couple of weeks. So I actually have to decide what deck I want to play.
Oh, proxies or no?
Proxies, yes.
So you can build whatever you want.
Yeah, but I have 4 pieces of real power. So I mean, ideally, I'd like to try to build something that I actually have the most cards for. So I have a Lotus, I have a Sapphire, I have a Time Twister, I have a Ruby, and I have a Time Vault. So that's 5 pieces of power. 2 are kind of semi-power.
That's like Pyro Gusher Storm, I think.
Yeah. So I think I might go with Pyro for a little bit, and maybe, if not, switch over to Junk Cave Bears or something. Or I might just play Dega in Vintage.
Yeah. Bugfish is obviously super strong. It's the deck I've been having the most problems with. I've started playing online. I bought into Vintage Online. Speaking of that, I have a Would You Keep or Mulligan this? This is in the blind, on the draw. Black Lotus, Mox Ruby, Basic Island, Scalding Tarn, Gush, Force of Will, Nature's Claim. I'm playing a blue-red Delver deck with a tiny green splash for Nature's Claim and Dragon Predator.
Wow.
I hate that hand, I guess. I mean, it's quite powerful depending on what you draw of Gush, if you even wanna Gush on the second turn. I have to say I don't have a lot of experience with that deck, but that draw doesn't strike me as particularly... I mean, it doesn't really do anything, right?
Yeah, that's the problem is, if it draws anything, it's perfect.
Yeah, and pitching Gush to Force of Will is really not where you wanna be with that hand. But there's a chance that you might have to do it. Imagine your opponent going, first turn, Dark Confident, go. What do you do?
Yeah. Cry. Hope they hit Force of Will repeatedly or something.
That doesn't sound like a very strong plan.
Yeah, so I ended up mulliganing, and then my next hand was 5 lands, and it was 5 lands and maybe a Delver, and I was like, I don't think that can get there. And then I mulled again, and I was like, well, I have to keep this. 5 is pretty low.
That's too bad.
Yeah. I've been having an interesting time playing Vintage Online, especially because I'm still getting used to playing online. My first 2-man, I had finally put the deck together. I'd had a few drinks come home. Like, yeah, I'm gonna knock out a 2-man. It's like 2 in the morning. I've had like 4 margaritas. Jump in the 2-man queue. Immediately fires. Someone jumps in. You have been paired against Steven Menindi, and I'm like, God damn it. We actually ended up having a great match, but I was like, man, really? My first match has got to be against him? Like, that's rough.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. So Julian is actually bugging us with a reminder to go talk about the MOCS.
No, it's not a reminder. It's just I'm gathering the data.
Oh, okay. Because I totally forgot we wanted to talk about this. So now that I remember that we want to talk about this, Julian, do you want to start talking about this?
Yeah, I think we really should mention that, because to a lot of people that don't play Legacy and Magic Online, this kind of flew under the radar, which is kind of sad because it's easily one of the top 5 most important Legacy tournaments of the year. But maybe top 5. Let's say there are 2 GPs, 1 or 2 Buzzer of MOCS, whatever. Payout wise, it's insane.
It's the only Legacy PTQ. That's really all you got to say.
Yeah.
This is called the Magic Online Championship Series, is it not?
Yeah, and you have to qualify for that, and I actually pulled a 15-hour all-nighter just to qualify for that, and in the end, it ended up being a 117-person tournament on Magic Online. We had 7 rounds, I believe. Yeah, 7 rounds, and top 8. Now, this is the interesting part. The winner not only goes to the Pro Tour, which is already super important, he also goes to the Magic Online World Championships. That's in Barcelona. It's being held on the same weekend as the regular World Championships. So they're actually flying you out to Barcelona. They are paying you at least $4,000. I mean, if you don't get dead last place, you even get more mana, more money than that. And on top of that, you get like, I don't know, $500 worth of Magic Online cards. But that's just the sweet thing on top. So it's a really, really important tournament, and payout-wise, it's easily on the same level as GP. And honestly, as I mentioned, people weren't really super aware of it, and I thought that was quite a shame.
I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of it until you told me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even care about the Magic Online Championship Series a lot, because there are 12 end-of-season tournaments for each month, each year. And most of the time they are standard, I don't know, block, sealed, whatever. But
I mean, we could also get into, like, how Wizards does an awful job of marketing Magic Online. How many Legacy players could they have gotten into Magic Online if they knew that they could PTQ playing Legacy?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's expensive to get into, but you get a few.
For sure. And that's why I felt like this had deserved much more attention. And yeah, there wasn't. I mean, okay, there's no coverage, even though the tournament, like each season final, is pretty big. But yeah. So, anyways, for me, I only went 4-3, kind of a shame. I mean, we were expecting a lot of burn, because everybody on Magic Online can qualify for that, but not everybody has a Legacy deck. So, obviously, lots of people just jump to the next best deck, and that is Burn. So, yeah, I played against Burn and Diver slightly too much. I was preparing heavily for Burn and Miracles, but yeah, in the end, it didn't work out for me. But that's not the important part. I sent you guys an overview of the top 32.
I'm looking at it right now, and there is a wonderful pie chart here that has the breakdown of the top 32.
Yeah, so in the top 32, the most played decks were Burn at 6 copies, as well as Miracles. So that's already 12 out of 32. That's a third? Not. Yeah, it's actually more than a third. Yeah. Then we have Buck Delvart or Team America with 4 copies. Elves 3 copies, Dredge 2 copies, Shardless Bug 2 copies, and then single copies of Grixis Delver, Death in Texas, Mono-Red Sneak Attack, Blue-White Delver, I think it was Blue-White Stoneblade, whatever, Belcher, Topter Blade, Sneak and Show, and 4-color Cascade. So, what do you guys think of that metagame?
It looks to me, it's a lot like an online metagame. I mean, 6 Burn copies in the top 32 is impressive. So I'm wondering if Burn is just prevalent in terms of the actual saturation, like number of people playing this deck, or if it's the real deal and it just totally annihilated.
I think Burn is the real deal right now. It's gotten a lot of boost in the last couple months. But what I think is really interesting is Burn and Miracles being the top 2 decks, when Miracles tends to be such a tough matchup for Burn, because you get a counterbalance out with a 1 on, you get the countertop combo out with a 1 on top, and you just counter their entire deck.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I think that Burn isn't all that much of a good matchup for Miracles. I think it should be pretty 50-50, maybe even favored for Burn, because Miracles has to get the counterbalance and the top, and almost all the other cards don't matter at all. And even then, you still have different casting costs, and you can play around that. And as I said, they're not always going to have counter top active on turn 2.
I think I also, though, in a metagame like this, like online, I would assume that you would maybe try and tweak your sideboard a little more to be ready for Burn, and there's no colors besides blue and white that have anywhere near as good Burn sideboard options.
Yeah, somebody suggested Velvisher to me, but that was obviously not going to happen. But I know, I agree. I know some people actually sideboarded Leyline of Sanctity, the white one that gives it hexproof or shroud or whatever, so they can't target you. Just because of Burn, because it's really running rampant on Magic Online. And if you look at the actual results in the daily events, Burn is not doing very well. Burn only contributes 3.3% of all the decks that actually win money on Magic Online, whereas Miracles contributes 15%, and that's easily the highest number. So
what we can maybe derive here is Miracles is the best deck played by the best players. Burn is the best cheap deck, maybe, or the best deck played by non-legacy players.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We unfortunately can't see beyond the top 32 decks, but I believe there's even more Burn down there, and we really don't want to go down there for now.
And the other thing is on Magic Online, you can buy Legacy Burn. There's a Burn Precon that has, 85% of the whole deck from a money standpoint, and the Precon's like $35.
So, let's talk about the top 8. The top 8 had 2 Elves, 2 Burn, a single Miracles, 1 Team America, 1 Sneak Attack, and 1 4-color Cascade, also known as Waterfalls to some people. That's like 4-color without white, and all the good... Burk, yeah. And all the good Cascade spells. Like, you can Cascade Bloodbraid Elf into Shardless Agent, into Ancestor Versions, attack their chase, kill them, and suddenly the whole board is turned around.
I've seen people play like 1 or 2 of Violent Outburst in that deck.
Okay, that's really going over the top, I guess.
Yeah, certainly.
But I mean, you listed those decks, but not the order. And if you'll notice, if people look at the results, what are the top 2 decks, Julian?
The final? Oh, the final was played by 2 tribal decks. It was actually an Elf's Mirror in the finals.
Of course it was.
Let's see. So, Elves bet... Oh, how can I check that? I think it would take too much time to actually check.
So Lanto, or whatever his name is, Lantto, won. Playing
Magnus Lanto from Sweden.
Yeah, was playing the Rent Run Packmaster main deck, running a Pendelhaven with 18 lands, running a sideboard with Abrupt Decay, Null Rod, a Sylvan Library, so it's running the Black Splash. Great. This other guy, oh Jesus Christ, whatever his name is, Scarenushmakwatz, whatever, second place. He's playing one more Virtual Rangers. He's playing Rorikthar in the main. He's only running 17 lands, and he's running the Swan Song sideboard. So 3 Swan Song, still a Pithing Needle, still a Null Rod, but it's more towards Swan Song. And Swan Song, I guess, is there to combat Sneak and Show, but Miracles mainly, I assume. Yeah,
it's just utility over the entire metagame. I think we had talked about how I don't like Swan Song, but, I mean, can't argue with results for now.
Well, the results are that the person without Swan Song won, so...
Yeah, but let's talk about the finals in a second, because there was some interesting action going on there. Lanto actually sent me an email. He contributed a lot of his success to watching my stream, which was really flattering for me. And
you donate those winnings to your stream.
I actually had quite a bit of donations, but they were from different people. Unless he's got a secret second identity from Italy, and I don't know where the other person was from.
Lanto is actually going to answer some questions because there was no coverage on the whole thing, so he's going to answer some questions for the podcast.
Yeah, I sent him some questions, and he was kind enough to provide answers for that. And I asked him to mention several very interesting situations throughout the entire tournament. And one of those happened in the semi-finals of the MOCS, I think it was in the quarterfinals, where he played against Team America, Buck Delver. And it was game 3, I believe. And he was, his hand was kind of okay. He was thought-seizing his opponent, and suddenly he sees Show and Tell in the Buck Delver player's hand. And he was like, oh my god. Oh fuck, I screwed this up again. Okay, anyways. Okay, sorry. I think the story is just so good, so I want to intro it right. So, Lento was kind enough to answer some of the questions for the podcast because there was literally zero coverage. So, in the quarterfinals, he mentioned that he played against Buck Delver or Team America, and it was the final game, and his draw was kind of shaky, and he didn't really like it. So at some point, the worst thing happens that you really don't want to happen. You draw Progenitus into your hand. And he's like, man, come on, now all my natural orders are worthless, and I've got this useless Progenitus in hand, oh my god. So he actually pictures himself losing the match. So he passes the turn, his opponent taps 3 mana. Let's remember that he's on Buck Delver, Team America, and he casts Show and Tell. And he's like, what? So Lento actually ends up putting Progenitus into play, and the other guy put Iona into play, and Progenitus easily outraces Iona. So Matt, I guess you can talk a bit about the sideboard of the Buck Delver deck, because that's what's highly interesting.
This bug deck is 4 Bitter Blossom, 4 Show and Tell, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Jite, and 4 Iona. 4 Iona.
What is the Show and Tell there for?
I feel if you're running Iona, it's against burn.
All right, I can see that, because I'm trying to think, like, Bug has got a pretty good matchup against a lot of stuff. I guess, yeah, Iona just turns burn off.
I guess it's good against elves, because if you can name green fast enough, like if you can do turn 2 Iona on the play, right? Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah,
Iona
I have
green.
actually lost to that guy, turn 2 Ionaing, and then even equipping Chitta on it. So it's a thing, and I'm very happy that we see some kind of innovation, even though that was probably tuned to the Magic on emitter where there's a lot of burn. But I don't know, I like it.
Yeah. So then the 5th place list is that Berg Cascade, which is, I don't know, I think it's interesting. I mean, you don't see this deck a lot, at least in stateside. Not a lot of people play Berg.
It's definitely among the most expensive decks you could possibly build.
Which is why I like it so much.
Because it's all fetches and duels, and it's all fetches and blue duels.
My favorite. Brainstorm, Force Will, Is It Charm, Lightning Bolt, Bloodbraid Elf, Deathrite Shaman, Shardless Agent, Tarmogoyf, True Nemesis, Ancestral Vision, Jace the Mind Sculptor. I like this. 6th place, it's another Miracles, but he's running Opt. Okay, so in case you guys don't know what Opt is, it is a 1 mana blue instant. Look at the top card of your library. You may put that card in the bottom of your library. Draw a card. Now, I'm not sure why, like, what this person's reasoning is to run this card over anything else.
Are there any of the major cantrips missing? Like, is it like his 15th cantrip?
Yeah, he's not running the Ponders, it looks like.
I guess maybe the only thing I could think of is maybe when you have something floating at the top of your library that you just can't get rid of because you don't have a shuffle effect or don't want to shuffle. But in that case, why wouldn't you just run Preordain?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Or maybe it's just for the instant speed miracle. Like you just go Opt, draw it, goodbye.
But that's what your top is for. I don't know. Yeah,
well,
that's an interesting decision.
It's like a 5th copy of top that's only a one-time use.
Yeah, it seems bad. I mean, this person is running the 1 of Flusterstorm in the main, which is kind of old school, as well as the Red Elemental Blast in the main, and a 1 of Spell Pierce. Seems a little odd. Also running 3 Entreat the Angels? I don't know. And running Riptide Laboratory, which
All the great.
Which I had talked about a little while ago. Could replace Karakas, especially if you're not running a lot of Vendilion Cliques. But this guy is also running 3 Vendilion Cliques in the side, because Karakas is just a little bit more mana efficient. But, you know, he probably got some value out of it, so that seems okay.
He also has 2 copies of Slice and Dice in the sideboard.
What? I didn't even see that. I just saw Blood Moon, and I'm like, okay, this looks pretty normal. He's also running 3 Surgical Extractions, which I guess is maybe a lot of people are running Reanimator. Slice, what the sweet fuck? Okay, so Slice and Dice, for those of you that don't remember, because I didn't, is apparently a 6 mana spell that can deal 4 damage to each creature at sorcery speed, or you can cycle it for 3 mana for Blood Moon casting cost. And when you cycle Slice and Dice, you may have it deal 1 damage to each creature. I think Is It Sanicaster is probably still better.
You know, with a card like that, I have to wonder if perhaps this is one of the players who's not usually a Legacy player who couldn't find a card at the last minute, or was just like, well, I know this is the role that I need filled, so what cards fill that role? And, found Slice and Dice over some other card.
I remember his name, and he actually plays quite a bit of Legacy. So I guess he's got some reason to do that. I mean, it's obviously...
So you're saying he did this on purpose?
Yeah, I'm very sure he did this on purpose.
He's definitely running more of Red Splash, because he's running 3 Volcanic Islands instead of the normal 2. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I
he's
don't know.
running 3, but usually when you run 2, you have a mount in the sideboard, so I think 3 is okay.
No, you don't need to have the mountain in the sideboard.
You don't have to, but that's what most people do.
I don't know. I think maybe some of those people are wrong.
Yeah, that might be true.
A lot of people have switched to, instead of that, doing a volcanic and a mountain, because a big reason to have the mountain was because it can't be wastelanded.
I understand. But anyway, that's an interesting addition that I had never, ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that it's an answer to Entreat the Angels, but I think it's a very bad answer. But
that is a terrible answer, because Engineered
Yeah.
Explosives is a real good answer. Real fine.
And EE is already good when you're playing 3 colors, especially when you've got 3 volcanics for your 3rd color.
That seems just fine. Nothing going on with the 7th place list that I can see. I mean, Ponder, Show and Tell, Sneak Attack, Lotus Petal. He's playing one of Jace in the main, which I think is interesting. This person is also playing the Repeal. I saw Repeal being played, a while ago, and I think it's fine. There are definitely cards that you don't like to see, like Pithing Needle, that are never bad to be able to, get rid of. Sideboard, do you guys see anything really different? This person is running more Bounce.
I like Bounce.
A lot of people aren't running it, but I agree that it's fine.
In general, I think Bounce is underrated. I used to run 2 Echoing Truth main deck in Merfolk because I didn't have, 2 of some other card. And the best time I ever used it was some guy stormed off on, turn 2 and cast and empty the Warrens for, 50. He's like, do you concede? I'm like, no. He's like, all right, pass it back. I'm like, end of turn, Echoing Truth? And he's just like, oh, game 2.
Isn't the best feeling when they're in Final Tutor and you just bounce their Chrome MOCS and suddenly they just find a second copy of the MOCS?
I've never had to do that, because that would be amazing.
So, for the rest of the tournament, really much thanks to Lanto for providing so much information. I think we are not going over all of it. Just so that you guys know, I'm going to mention all of his matchups throughout the Swiss, because actually nobody even knows except for him. So in the first round, he bet 12 post. In the second round, he bet burn. In the third round, he lost to Miracles. In the fourth round, he bet Miracles. In the fifth round, he bet burn. In the sixth round, he bet Miracles. And in the seventh round, he bet blue, white, red Diver.
Miracles, Miracles.
Burn, Miracles, burn, Miracles. Yeah, that's Magic Online for you right now. I asked him about... Yeah?
That'd be a tough thing to run through with Elves. I mean, I wouldn't want to see that, staring down the barrel of that many Miracles decks. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, he over the entire tournament, he went 2-1 against Miracles. And from what he mentioned, he started out, when he started playing Magic Online, I think 1 or 2 months ago, he was always losing to Miracles, but he somewhat came back, and I think over the last 4 weeks he actually has a winning record against Miracles Elves. And I asked him what's his take on Elves vs Miracles, because a lot of people will tell you, yeah, you just try to win as fast as possible, and that's true for game 1. But he said in the post-board games, take your time, play it slow, just make sure to disable top. The one card he's fighting is top. And everybody knows that's the card that holds Miracles together. Without top, the deck, oh my god.
We're getting a news flash by Telegraph from the past.
Yeah.
And it says, please stop Sensei Divining Talent.
Yeah, I am just mentioning it because a lot of people have actually told me to not worry about neither Terminus nor Counterbalance or whatever, and just play my game and try to get there. And I think that's wrong. And I'm kind of happy that a person who did well with the deck has the same opinion. So I think I'm not too far off in my way to challenge or tackle Miracles.
No, I think running a mixture of Null Rod and Pithing Needle to tackle different decks, but specifically also have both of them combat top, I think is very important.
I think Null Rod is a card that could see a bit more play right now, just because between obviously shutting down top is really good, but shutting down every equipment, that's pretty strong as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of decks are actually running equipment themselves. Like, if you're running white, you're running Stoneforge Mystic. So you can't run it. So basically, the only decks that are really it's open to are stuff like Elves, Merfolk can't run it, Goblins can't run it.
A lot of Merfolk decks are not using Ether Vial anymore, so they could run it.
Okay, so if they're not running it, that's fair. Bug Delver has been running Null Rod for a little while as well. So yeah, I mean,
Dega could run it. You take out your Stoneforge Mystics and just be Haterade.
Oh, that's so awful.
I think that's all I've got. Unless y'all want some stories of why I was gone for 2 episodes in a row.
Yeah, I guess tell the people.
So the reason that the last couple episodes were a little slow to come out, I know that the two before this took 28 days to get released, was I got married 2 weeks ago.
Hooray!
Yay!
Or, I don't know, maybe,
The wedding itself, we rented out a brewery, St. Arnold's, if you're from Texas or Houston. Just super cool. They have it's just a beer hall with a bar at each end, and had like 120 people drinking beer, eating barbecue. We had no wedding cake. We had pecan pie instead.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I think, is that all we've got?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got nothing else.
Time for some day drinking.
Plays of the week.
Uh.
I actually haven't played in a week, so I don't have any plays of the week.
All right, let's get out of here.
So do you want to do the outro?
Yeah, hey, y'all. Thanks for listening.
Right.
We're good. Feedback is always appreciated. Email us at everydayeternalcast@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/everydayeternalpodcast, or follow us on Twitter at eternalmtg.